Jon Rothstein, college basketball insider for CBS Sports and Sports Illustrated and host of College Hoops Today. That's a podcast. His guest this week, St. John's coach Mike Anderson. Jon was not comfortable on the set, so we're now here in more comfortable chairs. And what Jon wants, Jon gets.
Snuggle in.
So you got the chance to talk to Mike Anderson. You look at his resume, did a really good job at UAB, really good job at Missouri. Did well at Arkansas. What do you think about him as a fit at St. John's?
You know, he's never had a losing season as a college head coach. I mean, that's an unbelievable statistic. I felt as soon as Mike Anderson got the job that if he could retain some of the personnel on St. John's current roster, that he would have a chance to win in the Big East this season. And, you know, talking to him, you know, earlier today on my podcast, the only college basketball podcast that's coming to you 52 weeks out of the calendar year, he felt that
That's
Mustafa,
a walking billboard.
he felt that Mustafa Heron and LJ Figueroa had the chops to really flourish in his system. And you think about right now some of the players that have flourished under Mike Anderson, really at Missouri and at Arkansas, guys who could play different spots as multidimensional type talents, guys like Damari Carroll, guys like Bobby Portis. So those are two players, along with Greg Williams, a little-known reserved guard last year who was a backup behind Justin Simon and Shamari Ponza, I think could really flourish next year for St. John's.
He's a guy that is familiar with the area. I think the Big East, would you say the Big East is wide open? Not quite wide open.
No, I think the Big East right now has a chance to have a massive bounce-back season. You know, you look at the Big East last year, it didn't have a team in the Sweet 16, really had, you know, a hard time getting, you know, a team to be competitive in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. You look at the league this year, Villanova brings in arguably its best recruiting class ever under Jay Wright. Seton Hall, you know, has all the chops, and Miles Powell to have a first-team All-American. And then the rest of the league is all set up to be better at some of its most important brands. Georgetown should be an NCAA tournament team for the first time under Patrick Ewing. Marquette still has Marcus Howard. And Xavier returns 4 starters from a team that down the last month of the season was playing as well as anybody.
Monica, he won't put the phone down. He's very nervous about it.
It's a part of who he is.
This is part of being an insider. Like I said, you're afraid to go in the shower during March when, you know, you're afraid you're going to miss a call or a text.
Is something going to break here or what?
What? I mean, you always have to be ready. June, though, is, you know, pretty laid back. We sleep in May, we relax in June, we take off in August.
I mean, he's out holding that phone. He's clutching that phone. This is a big time for players and the draft, obviously, and potentially also those who are not going to enter the draft, thinking about transferring. Take us through some of the process.
Well, the hottest grad transfer right now on the market is Virginia Tech big man Kerry Blackshear. I was told per a source earlier today that he will visit Tennessee on Friday and Saturday. He visited Arkansas and Florida last week. He's a potential second or third team All-American next year, so that's the main one that's hanging in the balance. Another one to keep an eye on is USC grad transfer Derek Thornton. I was told by 2 sources close to the situation today that he is going to decide between Gonzaga and Boston College. Boston College you have to keep an eye on being in the mix because they put Jerome Robinson into the lottery last year, and Kai Bowman, a bulldog of a combo guard, will either be a late first or probably early second-round pick next Thursday in the NBA draft. Gonzaga obviously still in the mix for numerous reasons. They need a lead guard to take the place of Josh Perkins, who obviously left after graduation. So it may be June, Bill, but there's still plenty of nuggets to chew on.
For the options that kids have in terms of transferring now, you mentioned Blackshear, Virginia Tech. Buzz is obviously on to a different job now. How much of the transfer thing is dictated by coaches? Like, what have you noticed in terms of dictating why guys leave? Is it straight up playing time?
It's a number of different things, Monica. I think, you know, we live in a day and age right now where nobody really understands the value of delayed gratification. And this is the thing that I always go back to. You know, Michigan State, when Draymond Green was a freshman, made the Final Four, but he only averaged 3.3 points and 3.3 rebounds in just over 10 minutes a game. Had he been like most kids today and pulled the plug and left Michigan State, there's no way he would have developed and become what he has become right now, which is one of the best players in the world. So I always go back to that, and it's amazing it was only 10 years ago. But most kids today, 80, 90% of kids today, would have left that situation and opened things up as a transfer.
A little bit of a trend here. It's interesting. We've got some established NBA players who had great careers entering the college ranks. Jerry Stackhouse at Vanderbilt, following Penny Hardaway at Memphis. How's it been going for Penny Hardaway at Memphis?
Penny Hardaway has done an unbelievable job recruiting. Memphis is going to welcome in, you know, the #1 recruiting class in the country next year. But one thing we've learned in college basketball the past couple of years, returning talent always usurps incoming talent. And look at last year's Final Four. What first-year players had major impacts on the team that went to the Final Four? There were 3 of them. Texas Tech had Kyler Edwards, Virginia had Kihei Clark, and Michigan State had Aaron Henry. And, I was working on this over the weekend. When you look at returning scoring back from a percentage standpoint in the American Conference, Memphis is 10 out of 12. So it's going to be interesting to see how, even though that's a talented nucleus coming into Memphis with the projected #1 overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft in James Wiseman, how Memphis and that lack of experience is going to navigate an improving conference.
That's going to be exciting to watch.
You're much more, though, than just a college basketball insider. Last week, you mentioned
Depends who you ask.
hot spots for happy hour. How about tonight talking about your top 5 appetizers in New York
Well,
City?
this is not on the F Factor diet, which I'm currently on right now. But at the top, you have to go with the rock shrimp tempura at Catch, the buffalo cauliflower at the Ribbon on the Upper West Side. I was not a big Upper West Sider until about 20 months ago.
I've been to the Ribbon. It's not good, John.
It's not
great.
good?
Oh, man.
I don't know if it
Jeez,
deserves
Bill.
top 5
Well, we won't talk about your
The buffalo cauliflower apparently is
Dry
good.
pasta appetizer at Campagnola is to die for if you're a pasta fan. The Kerry-style wings at Bar Coastal have a certain sauce that, kind of bring out
Certain sauce.
certain sauce that kind of bring out the taste that, anybody can get along with. And then the grilled calamari and octopus at Avra, on 60th, right on 5th Avenue. I have never been to a place that has fresher seafood than Avra in my life. But I've never been to Europe either.
All right, one more basketball question before we get
You
into
go
the
out
food.
every night, by the way?
What?
Hold on.
You go out every night?
I wouldn't say every night. No.
This man is living his best life, Pito. Just
right.
let him. He's getting engaged. No thanks to you, clearly. Anyway,
trying to rock the boat.
Hardaway, exactly. Hardaway, Juwan Howard, those guys. Do you think that will matter? How much, rather, will it matter in recruiting for young guys?
Obviously, when somebody can call up and has the pedigree of a Penny Hardaway or a Juwan Howard, it's going to resonate with recruits, even if these kids are 17 and 18 years old,
Right.
because of the cachet that it brings and obviously the credentials that it brings. But we have seen very few people come to college basketball from the NBA and have massive success. The only person that has been a flat-out home run in terms of making that transition has been Fred Hoiberg at Iowa State. I mean, you look right now at the other people who have taken over those posts. Clyde Drexler struggled at Houston. Chris Mullen did get St. John's to the NCAA tournament, and he should be commended for that, but he did leave after 4 years. Mike Dunleavy Sr. just was, out after 3 years after Tulane. The only person that has been a flat-out home run has been Fred Hoiberg, and he's back at it again at Nebraska. You look at Nebraska right now in terms of what they've done in the spring recruiting period. They've added 2 of the best JUCO players in the country in Cam Mack and Jervay Green. Jervay Green was a holdover from Tim Miles. They also added, a grad transfer from Florida Gulf Coast in Hanif Cheatham, who started his career at Marquette. So that's the only real exception to the rule.
You've been taking pictures the whole time, haven't you?
No. Just want to be prepared in case the phone buzzes, man.
In case the phone buzzes.
You got it on silent, though, right?
What?
That's all.
Mark Twain, the best way to get ahead is to get started.
He keeps dropping this stuff over and over. For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.